Morning. Okay, so my purpose today is to show you what you need to look at to work deep in your body to shift your wealth paradigm. First, I want you to know that you're innately wired for wealth, and that part of the recoding and the expansion of your nervous system is actually removing anything that's getting in the way of you realizing that and the embodiment and the actualization of that. For us to be able to really fully receive, we have to come out of contraction, and then we have to move into regulation and relaxation, and finally we have to move into expansion, at least move our nervous system into expansion. When we're elevating and rewiring our wealth code, and we're doing that in the nervous system where it actually is going to matter at the highest and deepest level, then there's four major areas that we're going to focus on. And I'm going to move through these four areas with you today. So if you're here live or on the replay, welcome. Say hi to me. Let me know where you're watching this from. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Ilsa. I'm a little bit about me. I'm a spiritual nerd. I'm a dog mama. I'm a licensed psychotherapist in private practice for over 15 years. And I'm an expansion expert and strategist for soulful entrepreneurs and transformational leaders. I also love to read, and I literally read anything from um, philosophical and spiritual books all the way to corny Victorian romance or scary thrillers. Hey, Dino, nice to see you. Um, so, in my work that I do with people, I marry essentially nervous system expansion and recoding work with simple business strategy and a little dose of soul magic in there to rewire you and your business for easeful and delightful client attraction, influence, and wealth. So today, the topic is on the four wealth codes that you need to recode, to shift your money paradigm, and to be able to receive with ease. Before I jump in, if you know that this is something you're wanting to shift in your life, I have 5 opening for my Wired for Wealth free clarity calls to explore essentially what needs to shift within you and within your business for a lot more easeful and enjoyable client attraction and wealth. So you can book that by clicking the link in the description, wherever, depending on where you're watching this from. All right, let's get started. Hey, Beata. So when I work with, yeah, definitely lots of different types of books. I just like to read. I'm not that picky about what I read, anything from deep stuff to really silly stuff. Um, so when I work with clients on rewiring and recoding ourselves for wealth, for ease, for joy in our work, I always work at the level of the nervous system because without that, from my perspective, I found that any work that we do in the subconscious or in our conscious mind doesn't stick long term. So money work for me is body work. It's something that we have to get to the root of because there's a lot of trauma and a lot of deep-seated beliefs that have been passed down to us both from generations and generations and also from the collective. And that doesn't happen in the brain. That doesn't get lodged in the brain. It gets lodged in the body. So that's where I go to really shift my client's ability to create more, but also to receive more and to receive it in a way that feels good to them. So the first thing I do when I'm working with the nervous system is I bring the nervous system out of contraction, out of fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. Fawn is essentially the sciencey word for fitting in and pleasing. And I bring the nervous system into regulation, into relaxation, so that we can become receptive. If not, we block and sabotage any kind of receiving. So using like this very unique practice and protocol that I've designed over years and years and years of doing this work, I help people go from like this to this. And then I help them go into this. And I'm going to describe what I mean by that a little bit more. So, for most people who work with the nervous system, bringing you back to feeling safe, feeling relaxed, feeling open is where it ends. And that's amazing, right? Like, we need so much trauma work. We need so much work to make us feel like we belong here. It's safe to be ourselves. It's safe to be here. It's safe to want what we want. Like, that's amazing. But it's actually not quite enough when we're working on growing and up leveling in our business. There needs to be a next step, and that next step is expansion. Because here's what I want you to understand with the nervous system: the nervous system is wired to keep you safe, and it's wired to keep you in your comfort zone. It's not wired for you to thrive or soar or claim your bigness. On the contrary, it's actually wired for the opposite. So it will allow you to grow to the level where you can feel safe and comfortable, but then it'll shut anything else that's going to make you uncomfortable again. And let's be honest, expansion is uncomfortable. Bringing in more clients, bringing in more money, making more money, asking for more money, raising our rates, all of that stuff is uncomfortable, and it's very much involved in our wealth paradigm. So once I bring somebody into relaxation, into regulation, into receptivity, then I recode the nervous system to be able to expand and stay regulated in the expansion. Essentially, not freak out and close up and contract again, but actually be able to stay regulated as we grow, as we expand, so that we can receive more and more. So since we're talking about money, I'm going to give you an example. Imagine that you, and I'm going to speak to those of you who are entrepreneurs because that's mostly who I work with. Hey, Portia. So imagine that you have an offer and you're charging $1,000 for it. Okay, so far so good. No big deal. For most of us, that's not going to trigger anything in their nervous system. You know, essentially to say to somebody, hey, to work with me, it's $1,000, for most of us feels pretty comfortable. The nervous system doesn't contract. We can stay regulated through that. Now add a zero. So suddenly it's, hey, the investment to work with me is $10,000. How does that feel in your body? What comes up for you when you imagine saying that out loud to someone? For some of us, that's still fine. Like, that's still no big deal. And then for some of us, something starts to tighten the moment the amount goes up. Entrepreneurs, yeah, we try, Carrie. We're trying to really claim it. So as the numbers get bigger, something starts to tighten inside us and thoughts start to arise. Now, you'll notice I don't talk about thoughts first. For me, there's a tightening in the nervous system, in our bodies, that lets us know, ooh, I'm stepping out of my comfort zone. That's no longer okay. And then a bunch of thoughts will start popping up around that. Now, double that amount. Now we're up to 20 grand. Now, 5 times that amount. Now your offer is $100,000. By the way, I know people whose offer is $100,000. I know of a couple people whose offer is more than that. I can't quite contemplate it, but for them, they've expanded to the place where that's normalized. So when you think of charging $20,000, $100,000, what happens inside of you at each of these levels? And by the way, there comes to a level where you check in and nothing's happening. Like, you can't even feel the contraction, but it's like something in you has gone asleep, has disconnected, is almost dead inside. It's so far out of your ability to really hold that, to understand that, to contemplate it, that your system doesn't respond. So we all have ceilings, a point where the nervous system contracts, freaks out, and then a point where the nervous system shuts down altogether. When we reach these ceilings, then that's when you're going to hear something inside you say something like, I can't be paid this much. I can't bring in this much. It's not safe. I'm not worthy. What will people want or expect from me at that level? What will I have to sacrifice? What will people think? Will they turn on me? Well, does that mean I'm gonna be a bad person or greedy? Like, there's all sorts of weird shit that starts coming up when we start to expand what we can allow ourselves to receive. We're afraid that we will lose or abandon ourselves, that we will lose our freedom, that we will be judged or criticized, that everyone will want a piece of me. And there can even be things that come up like, that's absolutely ridiculous. I could never charge that much. It's not me. It's not possible. It's impossible to charge that much. At least it is for me. You get the drift. When we reach that ceiling, something in us contracts, and then that percolates into all sorts of thoughts about it. The problem here is that what the nervous system decides is what it creates. So for some of us, that ceiling's pretty low. Like, I still don't charge $10,000 at this point. Even my highest offer is not quite there. I'm working myself there, but it's not quite there. For some people, $10,000 is like they won't get out of bed for for less than that. Like that's their ground essentially. So for some of us, our ceiling is somebody else's floor. We're all different in that way. Where we're not different is it doesn't matter where you're at. When you're leveling up, you're going to need to do this work. It doesn't matter if you're leveling up from charging $100 an hour to charging 1,000 to going from 10,000 to 50,000. It doesn't actually matter. The moment you up level, you're going to bump against those nervous system blocks, and you're going to have to essentially move into regulation and then into expansion and then into normalization of that new level, that new expanded level. So the point of rewiring ourselves when it comes to wealth is not just about becoming relaxed and receptive. It's also about increasing our capacity to receive more, and to do so without stress, without second guessing ourselves, without spinning, without sabotaging. So I'm going to take you through the 4 different levels that I work with clients when we're talking specifically about wealth. So when I work with people, in my Transcendence program, I have 20 recodes that I do, because for me, it's not just about the amount, it's about how we allow the amount in. But for this particular video, this particular live, I'm going to focus on the 4 main areas that you need to focus on as you're up leveling yourself and as you're up leveling your wealth code inside you. So the first thing that we rewire when we're working with this is we rewire the nervous system to essentially be able to comfortably ask and receive higher fees for our work. That's always where it starts. Receiving and giving are 2 sides of the same coin, and both need to be in alignment for us to thrive. So your ability to impact the world in some way, to really transform people's lives, is directly related to and affected by your ability to receive. The more you're able to take in, the more you can give someone the great honor of paying you really well for your transformation, for your work, the more you're actually able to give to them and to transform them. For me, being paid well and receiving is like breathing. Abundance is like breathing. The bigger you're able to take in air, the bigger the in-breath, the more you can breathe out. You will notice for a lot of us, especially if you're a soulful entrepreneur, you've been taught that you need to give so that you can receive. But our body shows us that that's not the way you work. You have to first be able to take in so you can give out. So that's one of the main things that we work on here, is being able to get more and more comfortable receiving and asking for what we really want to be paid, so that we can actually have what we need to give out, to give to people. Hey, Mary. Yeah, under promise, over deliver. Absolutely. The second aspect to this, and I mentioned it a little bit in my intro, is we need to shift, and this is something I got from my own coach, Shamika Tankerson, but we need to start shifting what we consider to be a whole lot of money. Money, like beauty, is completely individualistic. What I consider to be a whole lot of money could feel like peanuts to someone else. I remember what it was like when I thought that charging $100 for my sessions or charging $1,000 to work with me was a huge deal. And it felt like a whole lot of money to me at that time. And by the way, it wasn't that long ago. So the more you can shift your perspective of what you consider to be a whole lot of money and what you desire to be paid, and you can start seeing that as what I want to be paid is not that much. It's not that big of a deal. It's really reasonable for the transformation I bring people. The more you can start seeing what you desire to be paid as normal, you can start seeing how a lot of people are actually making that kind of money. The more you normalize the amount in your own body to the point where it's like it feels normal inside you, the easier it is to bring in. So that's the first aspect of wealth that we rewire to be able to bring more with a lot more ease. The second thing that we rewire within ourselves is the ability to just be able to bring in overall and to be able to bring it in without deciding where it needs to come from. So the first recode I talked about, we're talking about being paid more for our work. And that's really important. We're talking about being comfortable receiving higher fees. This level is a little different because we're talking about being able to receive more overall and to not and letting go of the control of how and where that money comes from. So first we really allow ourselves to truly, the first step here is to really allow yourself to truly decide that it's okay to want a whole lot more. You'd be surprised how many of us feel bad for wanting wealth. But you can't create or receive what you're unwilling to ask for and claim. So we have to let go of anything in our nervous system and heal anything in our nervous system that makes us feel guilty, that makes us feel shame around wanting more. And for a lot of us, we were shamed as children for wanting more. And for a lot of us, there's some family shame and some family stuff that's lodged in your cells, in your nervous system about having and wanting more. So we have to be able to let ourselves dream, want, desire, and get comfortable in our body with that, because there's usually something in the nervous system that will also say that wanting more is setting ourselves up for disappointment, for failure, for judgment, for criticism. And because of that, it will shut it down. So a lot of us are not able to even claim how big we want to get, how much we want to make, because it doesn't feel okay to do that. So at this level, we're starting to see wealth like love or joy is an energy. And we can use it for good if we stop shying away from wanting it, from claiming it, from being willing to receive it. Essentially, just like we would not shy away from love or peace, wealth, money, is defined by what we do with it. The soul of money itself is based in light, it's based in goodness, it's based in generosity. Emma, quiet. All right, hold on. Let me close my door. Damn dogs. Love them, but they are barky. So we start allowing ourselves to be really in honor that wealth in and of itself is good. It's bathed in delight, it's bathed in generosity, and it's okay to want more because the more we have, the more good we can do. So once we claim that the amount we want is okay to want, it's okay to desire, and that wealth is good, then we let go of where it comes from at this place. We let go from the source. We surrender, and we let go of trying to control how money comes from. Like for a long time, for me, I only wanted money to really come from me working and the work that I did. But the truth is, there's all sorts of ways for money to come to us. So at this level, we're rewiring how much we're willing to really allow in overall. in all its forms. Abundance is energy and it can take many, many forms beyond just the work we do. It can come through gifts. It can come through wise investments. It can come through as a win, like winning something, like winning the lottery or whatever it may be. It can come through as refunds, like tax refunds, or any kind of unexpected opportunities. And you would not think that we have to rewire ourselves for that, but we do. Because for a lot of us, we were trained that the only way it's okay to make money is if we work really hard for it. And that's something we have to rewire in the nervous system. That actually money gets to come through to us in all sorts of delightful ways. And it doesn't have to be associated with hard work. And we remove all the guilt and all the shame and we start cleaning and cleansing our relationship to wealth and money. So that's number 2. Number 3 is we rewire our nervous system for ease and delight in wealth. At this level, we're recoding our nervous system so that we can start bringing in money in a way that feels easeful, that feels aligned, delightful, and nourishing emotionally, spiritually, as well as financially. Because it's not just about being able to rewire ourselves to bring more. Like that feels really important to those of us who are struggling with money, right? Like if you don't have enough, then bringing in more is like your priority. But to be honest, to bring more but hate your life is not success. So at this point, we're actually really starting to shift all these codes inside us, and they're very common. That says, to be successful, you've got to work hard. To be successful, you've got to pay for it. To be successful, you've got to give up yourself in some way, or give up your freedom, or give up what matters most to you. We start cleaning all that shit out of the nervous system so that we can start actually allowing ourselves to bring in money and to make money in a way that feels good, and that feels good in here. Because that's a double-edged sword. If it doesn't feel good inside you, you will sabotage it and block it anyways. So now, like doomed if you do, doomed if you don't. Like if you bring in a whole lot of money and you're actually able to move through that and bring it in, you're going to sacrifice yourself. You're going to pay a whole cost for it. But if there's something in you, like something really soulful that says, that's not me, I don't want to sacrifice myself, then you will block your ability to receive. So recoding ourselves at this level, where we're literally allowing money to be easeful, to be delightful, to be nourishing in all the different ways, is almost more important than actually rewiring ourselves for more. Hey, Chloe. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, not controlling where the money comes from. Like essentially, we're like, not only are we rewiring ourselves, but we're rewiring the soul of money in some ways. There's a lot of people out here in the society who make a lot of money. Some of them are my clients, and they're overworking, they're pushing, they're striving, they're exploiting, they're doing something they hate, they're stressed out, they have no free time, they're missing their kids growing up, they don't enjoy or feel nourished by what they do. That's not the aim of this work, and that's not us. If you're going to work with me, that is so not you. So here we're rewiring things so that success feels good. And that's the only way we allow things in, and it becomes easeful to allow things in without the heavy cost of it. If it doesn't nourish your soul as well as your bank account, then that's not the right way. So that third code is rewiring yourself so that abundance can come in with ease, it can come in guilt-free, and it can come in a way that feels simple, that feels good to you, that feels playful, and that you don't resent in any kind of way. So that's number 3. And here's number 4. The last thing you rewire with people when you're recoding yourself for wealth is we rewire our nervous system to be able to keep hold and grow the money that we receive. So at this level, money's flowing in, you've got a way to bring in money, but now you've got to make sure that you don't sabotage what you have, and it doesn't continuously slip through your fingers and disappears. There's a lot of people who make plenty of money, but either something shows up in their lives that makes the money like disappear and go away, or they squander it, or their business model is set up in a way that unconsciously there's not much left for them at the end with all the expenses. Like, you'll see a lot of, like coaches and stuff will talk about, their 100K month and they're this, but they don't tell you what's left at the end of the month. Like, there's plenty of people who make tons of money, but there's nothing left. Like, once everything's out, all the expenses, all the stuff, there's very little left for them. That's not wealth. That's not growth. So at this level, we're really recoding ourselves to feel safe and comfortable and joyous with holding on to more money and actually being able to grow what we're bringing in and what we're receiving. Yeah, how to hold on to it. Absolutely. Because in the end, like, honestly, if you're bringing in more, you're bringing in a way that you love and feels good to you, but there's nothing left at the end, what's the point? And you see a lot of that, like that's the wounding around even people who win the lottery. Like, the amount of research that shows that, like lottery winners are worse off than where they were at, a few months later, or a few years later. Like, what was the point of winning it to begin with? So to recap, when we're rewiring ourselves, it's not just about how much money, it's also about how you bring it in and how good that feels, and doing it in a way that doesn't require you to abandon yourself and to sacrifice what matters most. And then is rewiring yourself and recoding so that you can hold on to more of it and you can grow it. Like, your money is literally making money for you. So when we're rewiring ourselves, um, it's not just about working in the unconscious or the subconscious and the conscious mind. That's not enough. We must go deep into the nervous system where the seed, the root of the wound is held. If not, it's like snipping a weed. At some point, it just keeps growing back up. Um, so the first thing we do is we regulate, we relax our nervous system so we can feel safe, we can feel comfortable being here, and we can become receptive. Like, when you think of, my if my fist is really tight like that, you can try to put anything you want in my hand, it's always going to drop off. So, the first step is we move from here to here so that we can start receiving. And then we expand. And expansion could be like, okay, at first I've got a hand out, and now when I expand, I'm literally holding my whole self for you to just dump what you want. Like, I'm expanding myself to be able to bring in more. And so that we can essentially stay regulated, stay feeling safe and comfortable as we grow, as we get big, as we thrive and soar in our business, essentially. And then we do that in 4 ways. First, we rewire our nervous system to be able to comfortably ask and receive higher fees for our work. That was number one. Number two, we do it so that we're rewiring our nervous system to be able to bring in more money overall and from any source that is available to us. Understanding that money, like love, is an energy and it desires to flow into our lives in all ways possible. And so we surrender a sort of control. Like, first, we allow ourselves to desire wanting more. I mentioned this, I think, in one of my previous lives, but like, I was listening to the story of this woman who came up on stage, and she was doing like this huge summit. It was like this wealth, like women and wealth summit or something like that. And she was one of the main presenters, and she's like some famous money author or investment author. And she went up on the stage and stood there and literally looked at the huge crowd. This was pre-COVID, and said to them, I stand here before you, a very, very wealthy woman, and I'm proud of it. Like, there's something here about being able to claim, like releasing the trauma, the guilt, the shame that so many of us hold in our nervous system that's been passed down to us, and being able to hold proud that money is good and it's good. Wanting it makes us good, makes us able to do more good, and being able to really claim that in our power, that is something you rewire in the nervous system. And that is code number two. And then releasing how it comes into us, being allowing it to come to us in all the delightful ways it might want to. Hey, Ashra. Yeah, absolutely. The replay is going to be there. You can come back anytime you want. So that's number three. That's number two. And then number three, we rewire our nervous system so that we're shedding all the wounds, all the blocks, all the trauma that says the only way to make money is by sacrificing ourselves. We got to work hard. We got to push. We got to strive. We got to abandon ourselves in some ways. That's, like money, success comes from hard work. We start to rewire ourselves so that actually bringing in money can feel easeful. It can feel aligned. It can feel delightful. And it's nourishing to us both emotionally, spiritually, as well as financially. And that's actually the only way we want it to come to us. So we rewire everything inside us that's going to actually make our experience of money resentful. Like we're going to have to give up being with our kids, or we're going to have to do some things we don't like. We're letting go of all of that. Hey, Sharon. So that's number three. And then number four is we rewire ourselves so that we get to hold on to what we make and what we bring in, and we get to grow it as well. Because again, if you're bringing in more and you're even bringing it in a way that feels easeful, but it keeps slipping through your fingers and there's nothing left to show for it, then what's the point? So that last fourth rewiring is literally we rewire ourselves so that we get to keep it. We get to hold on to it. We get to grow it. And that's where legacy comes from at some point. That's when there's something, a real lifestyle that gets created and something left to share with the world and to share with our kids and all of that. So that's what I wanted to share with you today about the 4 different levels that we rewire ourselves for wealth. If you sense that in your own life, in your own business, you're blocking your ease, you're blocking your success in some ways, you're blocking your ability to charge at the level that you want, and you're ready to rewire yourself and your business for a lot more easeful growth, delight, wealth, without stressing, without second guessing yourself, without pushing, without sabotaging or spinning, then I might be the right mentor for you. I marry both the deep nervous system work with actual business strategies so that you can rewire not only yourself but your business in a way that feels really good to you. Because for me, wholeness and happiness is an integral part of success. So we focus on achieving your goals without having to struggle so damn much or work so damn hard, and to do it in a way that really honors you, honors your nervous system, honors your value, and is easeful and nourishes both your soul and your bank account. It can't just be one or the other. So if that would be of interest to you, there's a link in the description. It's either above or below you, depending on where you're seeing this video. If you click that link, you can book a Wired for Wealth call with me. It's free, 30 minutes long. We're going to look at which codes are out of alignment, like where are the real blocks in your nervous system. And then we're going to also look a little bit at your business and what needs to shift in your business to be able to essentially bring in clients with more ease, bring in more money with more ease, have more influence and more visibility with more ease. Because I didn't talk about that today because it wasn't a topic, but a lot of us hiding is held in the nervous system as well. Hey, Sharon. She says she loves how I work. I love how you work as well. Thank you so much. Anyways, that is what I've got for you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all of you who are still here at the end. I love you guys. And for all the comments. And I will I'll talk to you soon. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye.